This question is a perfect example of why you should study for this test by watching my videos and not by using anything released by the College Board or Khan Academy or whatever, because the explanation that they have on the College Board website for this question is insane. Insane. They want you to do the algebra. And I'll show you a version of what they do at the end. But there are way easier ways that require far less math knowledge, especially since we have a graphing calculator. So here is the equation. I just graphed it. 4x squared plus 64x plus 262. And they're asking for the minimum value. So the minimum is going to be the vertex. And we can see they just tell us it's negative 8, 6. I didn't have to do any math. I just had to enter what they told us. So the vertex for this equation is negative 8, what did I say? Negative 8, 6. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of a trap here, right? They're asking for what value of x does it reach its minimum. So you might think, okay, negative 8, right? It's negative 8 is the x value, so that looks good. That's definitely a trap, though, because we have to make a change to this equation. They want us to get the minimum of g, which is basically taking the f and then changing it by putting this like kind of plus 5 in here. Now, this is where some memorization might come in. Some of you might remember learning in school about the shifting of graphs, right? So if we had some sort of h of x where we had f of x and the plus 5 was outside, that's really easy. That means that this graph is moving upwards 5 units. So those, when they're outside of the parentheses, really easy. It's a plus 5, it's going up. If it's a minus 5, it's going down. It's just a shift up and down the y-axis. When it's inside, I find it a little difficult. So in this case, you might have memorized this, but basically a shift of 5 inside those parentheses like that is actually a shift to the left 5 units. Meaning that blue graph is going to go to the left, and that negative 8 is going to get even more negative by 5. So right there is our answer. Negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13. That, I think, is probably the fastest way to do it, though I do understand that this shifting idea is very complicated. I remember struggling with that in school, so I would not necessarily trust myself. Luckily, we have a graphing calculator, and it does some pretty cool things if we know where to look. So I graphed the f of x. Let's graph the g of x. Now, first of all, where did I even get the f, right? I don't see that button. Well, hopefully you know what ABC means. So this bottom left button here has the letters. So I can do g, okay? And then let's go back here and g of x, so let's put that in, equals. And let's just be really literal, right? It says f of x plus 5. So we go back to the letters, we do f, and we do parentheses, x plus 5, close parentheses, and you see it right there, right? Can I make it not purple? Can I make it a slightly different color? There we go, red, boom. So what happened, right? You can see the blue move to the left 5 spots, and now we are asked for the minimum of that, and it's still the vertex, and now it's negative 13, 6, and negative 13 is the x-coordinate, so that's the answer. So that is, in my mind, the least mathematical way to get this, is to just understand that you can enter things in the calculator very easily. And it's going to take care of the shifting for you because it's just following instructions that you give it. So we have to give it the right instruction, but there you go. And we do actually need to know what it means for the minimum. That's the vertex. And so hopefully that all makes sense to you. But that's definitely the easiest way to do this. It would take me seconds. I know I've been talking about it for a while, but it would take me seconds to get this. It's just a matter of entering it. I'll show you a version of the explanation that they give. And you can tell me whether you want to stick to the traditional textbook ways of doing things. What they say is when we take g of x, we're taking f of x, and we're taking this x plus 5 and substituting it in for all the x's. So what's really going to happen here is we're going to do g of x is, or let's even back up. Well, no, we can do this. G of x is equal to f of x plus 5, which is 4 times, now instead of x squared, x plus 5 squared, plus 64 times x plus 5, plus 262. And there are some math wizards who would be able to deal with that x plus 5 and kind of factor it out and do all sorts of things with it. I would not be one of them. So at this point, I would need to start to simplify. So I would need to do 4, well, x plus 5 squared is x squared plus 10x plus 25, I hope I'm doing this right, plus 64x regular old calculator, 5 times 64 is 320. So I'm distributing this, plus 262, so that's 4x squared plus 40x plus 100 plus 64x plus 320 plus 262. Start combining like terms, 4x squared plus 104x plus 100 plus 320 plus 262 is 682. So that's my g of x right there. It's a new equation. Now what I'm supposed to do here is, and at least in the explanation that they give in the textbook, in the College Board app, is they tell you to then complete the square to get this into vertex form. Remember I was using that word before, vertex, that's the turning point, the minimum. So that's one way of finding the vertex, is to complete the square. But do I really want to do that with these crazy numbers? No. So what I would use is the other formula that helps with this, especially since all I care about is the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate of the vertex is given by the equation negative b over 2a. And since my parabola, my quadratic, is in standard form, I can just steal. The b is 104, and the a is 4. So that's going to be negative 104 over 2 times 4. So negative 104 divided by 8 is negative 13, which is what we got. But holy cow, do I really want to deal with that? Even if I do it fast and accurately, it's still pretty slow. And the odds of me doing this accurately when I'm kind of tired from this test are pretty slim. This is a lot of algebra, a lot of places for mistakes. I have no idea why they would explain it this way. I think that the new test is still very much, the materials are stuck in the old ways. They want you to do algebra. Your task on the old SAT and on the new SAT is to avoid algebra at all costs. Okay, that's why we have strategies like plug points into equations, like arithmetize, like guess and check. We don't want to do algebra, we want to do arithmetic. That's also why now one of our new strategies is use the freaking calculator, because the calculator does algebra for you. It shows you algebra. It lets you solve things that would otherwise take a long time. So use the calculator whenever you can to make stuff like this much easier. And hopefully if you know where the buttons are, you can do a lot of pretty cool stuff in a relatively small amount of time, especially considering how long the algebra would take here. This is definitely a question that most students would not be able to get using their own math knowledge that they've learned from school. It's too complicated, you're not that good at math. But suddenly, this very hard question is available to everyone. It's something that everyone could get right just by learning how the calculator works. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna have lots of lessons on how to use this calculator as we learn more and more about what this test is gonna be like. But this is definitely a case where you can improve your score by getting used to the calculator, not by learning more math.